Alright, what is up YouTube? It's Cord Campbell back here today on Coding Mitta, and this is part 2 of the $1,000 plugin. So the story behind the $1,000 plugin is I have this person that I care very much for, who used to occasionally work with me, and a couple other people that I know. And I had asked them to work on this project, which I'm doing on stream now, and I wanted to pay them for it, and it didn't happen, and made me a little sad. But sometimes whenever you talk through things, it helps, and although we're doing this on stream, maybe it will help. Who knows? It might help, it might not help. So I hope to help, and so maybe I can help everybody understand how plugins work. And my perception here was that I needed this done, and I didn't have time to work on it because I was working on other things, so I was willing to pay somebody to do it. And I wanted to support them in doing it, but it was also one of those things where they had to choose to help themselves, and it didn't get done, and maybe they just didn't want to work on it. And that's choices. People make choices all the time, and so I finally broke down and did it, and so I'm saving myself $1,000 at least on this. And anyway, it's ended up being a little bit of work. So I spent about 2 hours this morning on it, and I spent about an hour yesterday on it. So on stream yesterday, an hour and a half, and maybe 3 more hours in there, so maybe about 4 hours or so. I was farting around a little bit on it. And so here's where we're at. Is this project is based on Blipshot, and Blipshot is this Google Chrome extension screenshotter, and by this developer Erin Casali, I guess. I don't know how to say her last name. And so it looks like it got written a while ago, 3 or 4 years ago, so it hadn't really been updated. And there's a couple of other ones that are open sourced as well. This one doesn't seem very popular, but what I like about it is that the scrolling stuff isn't broken like in some of the screenshotters I've looked at. And there's a full page screenshot, which is an open source version, but then they wisely took it and closed sourced it and then made it a little bit better. But then I don't have the luxury of seeing that code. And with Erin's code, she's kindly put a BSD license on this, which allows us to use it for free and commercial use. So we're going to use it for commercial use. We're going to make it our own. So we can change any of the code that we want on the project. But we need to leave the licenses in place. That's what it says here. So we've left the licenses in place, so we're compliant, and we left the copyrights in place, obviously, because it's their code and they have a right to it, and we don't want to step on their toes. And they're not sponsoring this or promoting Mitta in any way, shape, or form. So just to be very clear, that I've taken it and I've put it in a new repository. There's no rules in licensing about not taking code and sticking it somewhere else. So it's in a new repo. All of this code is open source still, so even though you could technically close source it, I'm not going to do that. And the reason why is because this is a screenshot app that's a Manifest version 2, and Google is now supporting Manifest version 3 on the Google Chrome store for extensions. But then the problem is that if you switch to Manifest 3, there's a bunch of stuff you have to change. And one of the things they changed is the background scripts. So they now run those in a different environment, and they have different permissions, and they also changed the permission stuff. So instead of having all URLs here, you switch to this regex formula, basically, that says which URLs it can run on, which you can still do all URLs if you want. But then you need to change the content script, the background script information to include, I guess, the permissions. I'm not 100% certain. I've just skimmed over this morning the rules for the Chrome extensions, but the upshot is, or the downshot, is that you can't use jQuery anymore because it manipulates the DOM. So the scripts you end up loading for that are, well, they're not, they can't manipulate the DOM. And we're not really manipulating the DOM, so maybe that's not bad, but I haven't tried it yet. So I don't know if you can still use jQuery but then not manipulate the DOM. But then I found a reference to using fetch. Let me check my audio just for half a second. Make sure I sound okay. I don't hear anything. It looks like I'm talking, but is there not anything coming out? Oh God, I don't have any audio. I'm pretty sure I have audio. Is this page muted? Is my headphones muted? I don't know what's going on here. Well, I'm a little worried. Can't hear myself. Mic check? Mic check? Can I open Pandora and hear it? If I can't hear Pandora, then I can't hear anything in my headphones. I could reset it. Let me listen. Yeah, I don't hear anything. So I probably sound okay? I don't know. I need to check on my phone or something, I guess. Let me go get my phone and I'll check on my phone real quick. I hear myself banging around. So I think I'm okay. I just don't have audio on my headphones for some odd reason, so whatever. There I am listening. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I'm good to go. Have faith. Okay, so I've explained all that, and what I ended up doing in order to sort of make all this work. Oh, I was going to explain the 3.0 stuff. So there's fetch, which can be used for the Google Chrome extension, and so here's some documentation on that. And this fetch actually handles all of the callback hairballs that you have to deal with X HTTP requests, which I talked about yesterday a little bit, and he actually goes into it here. He says, allows you to make network requests similar to XML HTTP requests, XHR requests. The main difference is that Fetch API uses promises, which enables a simpler and cleaner API, avoiding callback hell. That's what I was referring to yesterday, was callback hell. So in our case, what we're doing here is we're using Jquery. Now yesterday I ran into a problem trying to get Jquery installed, so I was getting errors. So what I did is I upgraded Jquery to the latest Jquery. I just copied it over from the Mitta directory, and that resolved the problem. I have no idea what was going on with it. I didn't even look. I just fixed it and reloaded it, and it said fine, and away we went. So the next thing that I did is I updated the icons. So I created a new icon, and I made it transparent. I did keep the loader GIF. I can't even tell what that is, and I don't even know where it's working. So I just kind of blew that one off a little bit. And then I renamed some of the CSS rules in overlay.html, and then I renamed a bunch of the errors in here, made them a little bit shorter. And then when I need to fix this. When I do errors and stuff, I like to make things as short as possible. People don't have a lot of time to read stuff, so I just try to make it as simple as possible. And So I've just been going through here cleaning this up. We're in screenshotter.js for whatever reason. Again, this code is available on GitHub now. So I'm going to update that in the description, the show note description. So now you have the app or the extension for reference now. So knock yourself out, go and take a look at that. Now I'll tell you what I'm going to do is rewrite or have this rewritten. At some point when someone does decide to work on this, someone else joins the team. It's just me right now. It doesn't make sense for me to be working on a plugin for very long. The reason I'm doing this is because some pages can't be, I can't get a screenshot of some pages. If, for example, my mom tries to screenshot a page, like on the New York Times or something like that, and she wants to save it, which is legal because of fair use. So I can make a copy of it for her and store it on Mitta and let her use it. That's totally fair use. If I let her share it, then that would not be fair use, but it's fair use for her to use it herself, and obviously making it available for indexing so that she can look for the words that are on the page too for the screenshot. That's what Mitta does, is it's indexing imagery that's pulled from web pages or for images that people upload. Then she can click on this greater than sign, and then it'll just image it for her. And I'll just give you an example of that now. So there it is, having imaged it. And I noticed that sometimes on GitHub you get these little vertical lines. I don't really care if it does that or not. It's actually not a big deal to me if there's artifacts on the page. I don't expect, number one, anybody would care about it. Obviously, you're going to be covering up words, which you might not index those words, but there's a lot of words on the page, so I don't really care. It'll sort itself out eventually. The challenge with the screenshotter is that it's going to need to be rewritten for the manifest version 3 support that Google is implementing, and so for Chrome, and so at that point we'll just need to have it rewritten, and we'll probably end up using some of this stuff of Aaron's. We'll probably end up using some of it, but again, it's open source, so that's just the way it goes with open source. She doesn't appear to be working on it much, and we're going to improve it, and maybe we can make a little bit better version, and it will continue to be free, so we're not going to charge for the extension. So if you wanted to use the extension without Mitta, then you could possibly do that. And so we'll try to make it better and contribute back to the project in the way that we can. But right now we're just making simple changes to it so that it's not completely different than what we're offering on the web page. It's part and parcel of what we're offering. If we go in and look at how this stuff works, as it is anyway, we're essentially doing the same thing with the grub command that we've implemented. So if I do grub and this Mitta screenshot, so we first, of course now something's happening. It says error not found reported. What was not found? We'll just get right into it. It says here spool, Mitta screenshot, extension for Chrome. Okay. Well, yeah, there's the spool, but it says not found. Can we? I don't understand what was not found. Inspect. Tell me more. Network. I'm gonna have to rerun this. There's the error. Oh, skinny Rottweiler. Sidekick isn't found. Oh, you know what? That's a good point. So I don't have a skinny Rottweiler sidekick, so that's not getting indexed. And the reason why is because in some other context I deleted it. So we've got yet another ticket to add to our list of tickets. So let's close this. So we're going to go over to the Mitta project. No. this one. Oh, this one. And we're going to go over to devlog, and I'm going to add if we delete a sidekick and another tab, check in existing tabs for that sidekick and reload if not. So essentially the problem is that we were using a tab that had a sidekick defined, an index defined that doesn't exist. Skinny Rottweiler is gone. So let's switch to cunning adder, I guess. And then we're gonna rerun that command. So we're gonna crawl it now. Now get back to what I was doing. Okay, so at least it didn't say it had been indexed. There's that. Okay, so here's the screenshot we created, and you'll notice it doesn't have those vertical, those horizontal lines. I don't know why. It doesn't really matter. What we're after when we do this is we're after the words. We need to be able to have the machine learning library see the words on the page. That's what we really, really care about. We don't. Well, this image is just a reference image. It's a way for the system to see the content on the page instead of having to go and parse some hairball of HTML. Speaking of hairball, of HTML, then we can just look at the page and see what the page looks like to humans. Humans look at a web page, they don't see all the HTML or JavaScript. So why should the machines have to look at that? It just doesn't make any sense. So we're moving away from that and trying to do a different solution for it. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go in and we're going to edit the way that Mitta handles the spool names. And the reason why, if we look at, and you're just going to have to forgive me for today scrolling around a lot. I'm trying to work out this new layout so that I can have side-by-side references for the code to reference for the post. So we're going to get into, I haven't done it yet, but we're going to get into uploading the binary data, hopefully. Hopefully we're going to do that. If we don't, we're going to end the stream. We'll try to end the stream on time at 90 minutes, but then if I don't get done with it, then what I'll do is I'll finish it off stream, and then I'll just do a short update in the next stream saying what happened. So all you'll need to do if you're following along with any of this, then that's awesome, and I'll finish up in the next stream. I'm so used to now not being able to finish what I started in a stream that I'm kind of worried about it, and so that's how we'll handle it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here and log in. I think we're already logged in. We are. And then let's search for something. Hello. There we go. And so let's search for GitHub. No. Title GitHub. And there we go. That's what we just indexed. And there's Blipshot from earlier. And we don't have that image, but I think I've imaged this one enough that we have a copy of it. So like that's still not 100% working in search, but we'll get around to fixing the part where whenever you take the request from somebody in a grub command, when the system takes a request from somebody in the grub command, then what happens is the sidekick indexes it, but it doesn't have the picture yet. And then the picture is like a callback from the grub servers. But if somebody clicks on this, then we immediately have the image, and we can just create and upload. We can create a spool and upload to the spool. And then the system can then take that and index that. But then the user is also going to be submitting the URL, so we could go and grab, like we do with Grub, we could go and grab the title and description. So some of that needs to be sorted around, and I don't know if we're going to get to all of it, but here's what we're going to do first is address this problem with excluding things. This problem with addressing the upload spools and how we name them. So in the API, I've got it where the spools are essentially look like this. Now what happens is in on Google, I store this, so where it's stored is in the NDB database, so the NoSQL database, and they're stored under spool. We've already done this to sidekicks. We've given sidekicks a friendly name. So here we have the spool names, which are spool whatever, and that's just some hash to keep the collisions from happening. But then we have nicknames, and the thing is the nicknames could have collisions, because I think at this point, like, it's tens of thousands of names can be generated, but the chances of a user generating another spool of the same name as one they have is pretty small. And even if they did, and they got the photos or the images got colluded into that spool, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But what we're going to do is we're going to make it to where when the calls are made that you can use the nickname instead of the spool name. And the only reason that the name needs to be here as the spool name is because that's how it actually gets looked up. And it's like here with the upload URL. So even though, like, we probably shouldn't be storing the upload URL because we could build it off of the name, we are doing that. And I don't know if I'll continue to storing that or not. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So if we look at the storage setup in the buckets, we look at that we've got these spools, and these are the collections of images for a given spool. So a spool is a collection of images, and then a spool can alternately have a title, description, file names that are inside of the spool. So if we go into a spool, it can have multiple file names in here, so you could create a spool called whatever. But when we're storing it in the buckets, we don't want to use, these need to be unique in here. And so with this hash that we've generated here, the chances of collision are extremely low. I don't know what the rate is, but it's sufficient for me to proceed with things. It could be upgraded later if we needed to, but I doubt it will be, because it's upper and lower case as well. So you're basically looking at 36 times 36 times 36 times 36, etc. So that's going to be a very large number. And but then nobody really wants to look at the spools, the spool names like that. But now when you look at the images that we're dealing with, like this one, I think that we do want the spool name up here. We don't want that to say, you know, like some funny, easier to remember name. We want it to indicate that it's in a spool, it's in a collection, and then this is the file name that's in it, and then these hashes are the thing that A, secures it, and then B, it's also got permissions on it. So nobody's going to be able to, so the thing is they'd have to know the hashes to get to the files if they had your token. And if they don't have your token, they're not going to get to them anyway. So it's completely secure. There's no way that this image is going to get leaked out to the internet or whatever. We don't want people hitting it and getting a huge bandwidth bill. So this is the way it's going to work for now. The way that it would, if somebody did want to share this, they could publish the token that they have, and I may have like expiring tokens or something for limited use of that. But it wouldn't be something ongoing that they'd be able to do ongoing, because the fact is that this image, it should not be shared to anyone because of copyright law. Okay, I've talked long enough. We got to start coding. So we're going to get over here and we're going to take a look at what code we have written so far. So this is the amount of code that has been added. In fact, this line right here was already there. I just moved it. So that's, so far we've got 14 lines of code that we've written, less one, so 13 lines of code. And let me explain what this does. So what it does first, this will be, say, Mitta.us when I get done with it. The first one is a health check. The health check, if you remember, what it does is it returns a health check from the site here. And if you're logged in, then it returns your user ID, which is a hash. And if you're not logged in, it returns anonymous. So it says here, if it returns anonymous, then tell the user they're not logged in. That's all it does. And that works. And it pops up an alert. It says, please log into Mitta to enable uploads. So every time you screenshot something, it fusses at you to say, please log into Mitta to enable uploads. And if you are logged into Mitta, then it will go and create an upload spool with the URL. So that means that it is calling this endpoint right here. Here. It's calling this endpoint. So what needs to happen here is that we need to do a lookup. And we need to look up to see if we're getting a spool being created that, like in the crawler, that we don't already have it. So that's right here. It says if not URL. I think we look. Where do we look up the URL? We do down here somewhere. Where do we look up the URL? Right here. And then we say if not spool, create a spool for storage, else update the spool. So we're going to copy this. Now why are we doing that? We're doing that because if the user has sent us a picture of this already, we don't want to make a new spool and stick the new picture in there. We want to find the old spool and stick a new picture in there. So if they're taking pictures of this page over and over again, we're not creating a new spool, we're just adding it to the existing spool for that URL. Spools are per URL. Okay, so that's what we're going to do first, and we have to make that change in the upload handler here for spools. So here it says URL to spool, if not URL, URL equals blah. Else, we're going to go look it up. So in other words, if they've just clicked on upload inside of the, if they've done this, let's say I don't remember exactly, I think I have to do a create in here now for this to work. Yeah, so if they do this, then it created a new spool called Sassy Viminet Wax Bill. So that was just calling upload without a URL there. And the way that you call upload with a URL in the shell is you run grub instead. So that way it differentiates the difference between what the intent is. Here when we're clicking on the button in the browser, then we're on a URL, but the user is indicating they want to take a picture of the page. So we don't need to crawl it. So if we called grub, that would be pointless because then the grub server would spool up and try to take a picture of it too. And we don't want to do that. We just want to let the user do it. The user is like the backup crawler, if you will. So we have the grub boxes being the imagers that we can run. But then like yesterday when I was fiddling around with it, realtor.com blocked me and said, are you a bot? And I'm like, well, yeah, but I mean, I'm not actually doing anything harmful to the site. I'm not scraping. I'm essentially saving this image for search for the user later. So the user can do full text search for it later. It's a search application, which is fair use. And so they're blocking me. Well, that's their choice to block me. I could argue with them about it. I could call them and say, please open this up. But that's their choice, realtor.com, to do that. But in that case, then what I can do is just fall back to the user. I can just say to the user, hey, they're blocking us. You go install the extension, and then you take a picture of it, and then we'll upload it, and then we can continue what we were doing. So it's a fallback, if you will. And again, I'm explaining all this because I want to be very clear that I'm not trying to do something. Sometimes companies who crawl, they do things that are less than ethical, and I don't want to do that here. I'm trying to be like on the straight and narrow. Like, this is fair use. I'm creating a system where people can save things, imagery, which includes things, images from URLs, and then they can find them later. That's their right. If you build a website and you want people to come into it, you should expect them to want to be able to find it later. And frankly, it being locked up in Google, that's Google's business model, but Google tries to give us ads. So this is the response. Okay, so here we're going to say if we don't get a spool, then we need to create the spool. But down here we create the spool. And we're including the tags. So we kind of need to move this stuff up above this. Here. So we're kind of taking a brief detour maybe? Do I need the URL here? That's the question. Is the URL in here anywhere? It's not. So maybe I'll just move this up above the URL. Okay, so somebody submits a request to create a new spool. We yank the title and description if it exists. We yank the tags. We build the new tag thing, and then we pull in the URL. If there's no URL, then we're going to ignore. Yeah, we're going to ignore it, and then we're going to say if. Yeah, I mean, what we could do is we could do this. So if the URL is nothing, then our spool is not going to do anything. This spool lookup, and then we could say if not spool, spool create, which is this thing down here. So we're going to cut that out. And there is no result here. And I don't need to print it. So I'm going to paste that in there like this. So if there is no spool, if we look it up, in other words, if the URL is just empty string, then we end up calling the spool get by UID URL. So in other words, the user ID and the URL. We're seeing if we have a spool with those two in there. And if we don't, then we create a spool, which is what we were doing before. But if we do, we update the spool we have with the title, the description, and the tags. And I suppose, and the URL, but then we would already found it. It would already have the URL in it. So that's it. And then we're going to go and do a whole bunch of other things like this. And we're going to make a response, and we're going to send it back. And that's it. All right, I'll be right back. I'm going to go heat up my tea. All right, so now we need to look and see if this works. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to pop over here and we're going to do a curl on it. So we're going to do a curl and we're going to do a post and localhost 8080/u $token equals. And then I think we need to pop in a URL. So let's see here. We're gonna need our token. Oh, it's kind of nice to have this on the same page actually. So I don't have to flip back and forth. So I can grab my token here. All right, so that's gonna create a new. This should work. So it says Flask login is not defined. Now why is that? Well, that's because in crawl, this is how I'm doing it. In upload, that's not how I'm doing it. I actually import current user ID. So I'm gonna save that and we'll rerun it. That probably needs to be fixed, but whatever. So the title is null and the description is null. So I did have some error handling in here. I think I took it out. So if not title equals that, and then same thing for description. If not description equals that. All right. And then we're handling tags. So we're saying the tags will be empty because we're going to return the tags. So, and then the URL, we've done the same thing. So all of that should now be handled. So let's try this again. Okay, great. So we've got a new spool. It's got a nickname, and it's created and updated times are right. Its upload URL looks good. Its URL is representative of whatever. The best thing it can do is figure out that it can give you /d/spool, and then eventually, I'm not serving that right now. So if we pasted this URL in, it wouldn't do anything. But later on, it'll just give you a list of. If you've ever seen like the FTP list, it'll just give you a list of the images in it or something like that. You'll have to be logged in, but it'll give you a list of your images that you can get. Okay, so now what we want to do is want to try to send in a URL with this. So we're going to do -d, and then we're going to put URL equals, and then the URL will be, here in our case, we're going to do https://news.google.com/. I think I should already have one of those. So it says here, result is not defined, and I think that's to be expected. Else, if not spool, else update the spool we have with the title and description. And obviously we don't have a result. This would just be the title from above and the description. Because if somebody calls us with title and description, we're just going to overload it. Even if it already exists, we're just going to overload it with what we have. Now, the spool, the tags, the question would be, well, do you want me to override what the tags are that are already there with the tags that you're giving me? Because if I do that, then it's going to wipe them out. So the question is how to manage on a new, if I'm referencing an existing URL that already has tags and I'm sending in new tags, what do I do with the tags? Do I add them to the tags? Do I replace the tags that are there? So here's what I'm going to say is if the length of tags is greater than 0, then update the tags. And that's left the tags alone. So it found the spool, which was called Cryptic B of Defiance, and it has an upload URL, and the URL is news.google.com, and it has existing file names, and it left the tags alone. So now what we need to do is test to see if we send in tags. So we're going to say ampersand tags and then we have to do this equals, and then I have to do something like foobar or something like that. And then it can see the tags have been replaced. So if I were being responsible, I would say, well, then this is a URL. Then I need to put URL on it because that should carry a URL tag. So I should do that here, where here, because tags has already been, if not URL, else. But then the question is, do I, if the length is greater than 0, then I should, I should what? I think that at this point, if the user sends us tags with the URL, then it's up to them what the tags are. I feel like tags are sort of one of those things where I'll give it a tag, I'll give it a URL tag in the crawler, but here I'm not going to give it a tag if they don't give me a tag. I'm going to override what they told me the tags were. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so now what we have is a situation where if we save something, or if we create a new spool and we paste in the URL, or we give it the URL, and we're doing that right here in this post, then it should respond with the spool name that is correct. So in our case, we're looking at cryptic B of defiance. So if we go to news.google.com and we click on this, we should get back that that goes into cryptic B of defiance. Hello? It didn't turn red. Did it give me an error? There's no error. Did we get a request? The log is under here. Let's see here. Let's do this. I see a Git. I see a health check Git, but I don't see anything else. Did it go green? So we're doing a oh. Fascinating. How did that get there? Okay, so I need to reload this. And then I need to go to this, and I need to reload this page because it's got to be reloaded for it to pick it up. And then I click on that, and now it's green, and it says spool RF8P. That does not look like cryptic B to me. It's not cryptic B at all. And I got a post here. So what I need to do is I need to look and see what I'm being given by the call coming in from the screenshotter. So here I'm saying URL equals URL. And I'm setting URL, bar URL up there to shared tab URL. And I know that works. So let's go in here and see what it's giving us as URL. I would suspect nothing. I would suspect we're getting nothing here. Okay, and I think we could probably just, oh, you know what? This is not news.google.com, it's news.google.com top stories. Now if we do it again though, we should get the same one. RFB would URL, and there's the URL. So it is working. It was just, it's a different URL. So that's something to consider, is that if somebody types in news.google.com, that's not the same URL as this. And that's the thing, it's not. It's like whatever Google coughs up on news.google.com, we're not going to do what we normally do with crawlers. And I say normally do with crawlers is when we were doing Grub back in the day, we would try to do some deduplication of URLs. I am not going to do that here. And the reason why is because I don't really care what the URLs are. The URL is just a reference to what it was. What it actually is this. This is what it is. It's the image. And in this case, this image is going to look completely different than this image. So that doesn't look the same. Another reason why is because this page, if you look at it, it says sign in up here. So I'm logged in. That other one isn't. So I'm okay with that being different. And we saw there that it worked because it came back and gave us the same one again. So I'm ready to proceed here with this. Another thing that if we could consider doing here is we could say, and I love the fact that if I run this again, it just works like this. Is that we could the user on the API call could send in the URL that I'm sending in over here, and it would work. So let's do that. So we're going to just go news.google.com. It gives us this. Of course, we're not logged in, but that's okay. And I say we're not logged in. We're not going to be logged in on the server. So in other words, like if I do this here, like this, it's really what I want to do. It's the same thing. Then that's giving me, it's going to give me probably, I don't know what that's going to give me. It'd be interesting to see. Maybe it's not going to work. Nothing is happening. Oh, it happened. It looks the same to me. It could be the same, it could not be the same. If we do the search for it, you can see here, let's see here. Let's say the search for it. If we put it in here, is that gonna work in here? That's screwed up, isn't it? Because we have this ampersand in here. So it's treating it as a separate, thing. So we would need to do something like, I don't know how we would post that in there. We need to encode it. So the encoding on that is less than ideal here because we can't do that here because we've got this ampersand here. So then curl thinks that CEID is something that needs to be passed into localhost instead of it actually just being a URL, which just ignore that. So we're not going to worry about that. Okay, so right now we have this thing working to find the old URL. Now what we need to do now, I think, is we need to go in here and we need to address the nickname spool name problem. And so what I'm going to do is I looked at this earlier before stream, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to do this with it. And now, I don't know, maybe that's a little confusing because there is a name, spool name. And I'm going to look it up by user ID name, but I'm going to look up by nick. So do I put in nick there? I'm on the fence about this. Maybe I just go for it. So I'm just going to do that. Nick, and then this is going to be Nick, and this is going to be Nick. Like that. And then I'm just going to scan down here. And I want to do what I did last time and change everything and fuck it all up. So let's see here. Nick. We're going to get the spool. And then the request URL is the Nick here. This is the Nick. So basically what we're doing, instead of calling them by spool in the, here, instead of calling them by spool, then we're calling them by the nickname. And instead of this being spool name, it's going to be spool Nick, or Nick, just Nick. And that's the easy to remember, human readable nickname. So then the methods won't use spool name, they'll use Nick. Now they'll still use that in /d, it'll still use that. the /d lookup in site, we'll still use it. Here, it'll still use the spool name. And in fact, that should be name, probably, just for completeness. Just to be consistent, so we're not pretending it was spool on the front of it. Then we end up with the spool, and then we can operate on the name. That should still work. So we're going to test it here in a minute. We'll see if it works. Because if it doesn't, when we click on the image, it won't work. So here, this is Nick. And we're going to look it up by Nick. And then this is Nick. Now, I was just thinking about this, but if we actually just, here, this is Nick. But technically, this would be spool Nick. Yeah? Well, I'll leave it Nick. I don't like that it's Nick, and the reason why is because we're pulling the Nick from here, and it really should be real, but this is the error, so we have to do that there. It should be something that comes out of the system that's validated, I should say, instead of it's something arbitrary that the user typed in. Okay, so try, and we're gonna, what are we gonna do here? Upload file stream, file name, spool put. So here we're creating this, let's see, we've got, no, we're looking it up. Yeah, none of this other stuff needs to be changed. We're not dealing with the name here. Here's the spool name. The bucket blob is still the spool name. It's not the nickname. It stays the same in the buckets. It stays the same. The request URL, if there is an exception, the request URL is a nick. I think we've got 2 errors here that we can handle. We can handle an exception in creating the bucket, and we can handle basically an exception of not having the right data when they're sending us data. Let's see here, upload URL, upload URL, nick. Well, that looks good, nick. Those all stay the same. All right, doing the same thing here with the delete spool method. We're gonna call that nick. You'll notice how I had it name here. So I'd already started thinking about it by the time I did the deletes. And this is Nick. And then I realized maybe I didn't change things up top to say Nick there. So it does take Nick. And let's see here. Spool name. We're blobbing the bucket, so we have to use the name on the buckets. And here we're handling name, file name, and that's to delete an image from the spool. So here, that's kind of an interesting question. What do we do here to delete the image from a spool? If we're taking nick here, then it's got to be a nick here. Even though, like, to view it is /d, and then it's actually the name and the file name. Here, it's to delete it, it's the nick and the file name. So that's a little odd, but just what we're going to do for now. Probably come back to bite me. Again, like we're using those names as a fully qualified, collision based way to store them in the system. So spool get by username, and this is Nick here. So what we want to do now is I want to look for get by UID name. And I want to get rid of this. So there's no more occurrences of it. And then we got to look at, we got nick. Oh, I guess I'm just calling it there with no nick in it. When I say no nick in it, I mean no nick equals. Like here it's nick and nick, but you don't need to do that. it could be called the other way. You could use a common nick there. You're like, why don't you make them all the same? I guess I could. Should I? Should I take the time to do it? I don't know. Sometimes I find stuff like that and I'm like, it's good because you know what you were thinking at the time. You're like doing things just a little bit differently. Okay, so here's get by username Nick. Here's get by username Nick. So we're gonna search for that. Get by UID Nick. There's the other one, there's another one. So that I don't know why I'm doing it like this. It's a good question. It's kind of a little bit tighter code, but whatever, doesn't matter. I think this makes a little bit more sense. At least you can kind of, somebody comes along and they're like, what is going on here? I'm just making sure all of these are the same. I'm pretty sure they are by now. I've done enough of them. All right. Yeah, all very consistent now. Okay. So now what we need to do, let's check and see if we have an error. We have no errors. Okay, so what do we want to do now is we just want to see if it still works. I guess that's the easiest thing. So we're gonna do a grub, and we're gonna do something. Let's actually change our sidekick so we can validate that it's working. We'll just create a new sidekick, and then we're gonna do grub HTTPS news.ycombinator.com because I want to look at Y Combinator, but I don't want to go over there. So loose grasshopper. And then we're going to click on it. And there it is. Wing Commander 3. That was from yesterday. Pretty sure. It will use the old spool. So if we look at the spool, we can now not look up the spool by that. If you think about it, we can't look it up by that. So that's sort of not great. It's sort of bad that we can't look up something by the spool. Because if the user gets this, they might want to look up the spool. They could look it up by their URL. I guess what they could do this. So they could do something like this. Yeah. So they post to create a new spool, but what it's going to do, it's going to give them the existing spool. So that's a way to look it up, is by doing a post to it. You can say, I request that you create a URL that matches this in order to get back what you're looking at. But if you're looking at one of them, then you're not going to be able to look it up by the spool. So that might not be an advantage. It might be an advantage. I don't know. It's kind of like before you could take that and you could go look it up, but now I can't. But I can see here that it's the same. So I am able to look it up by doing this, and I can see that it's fancy hissing pheasant. And then I could do a curl HTTP localhost 8080 on you fancy hissing pheasant. Yeah, question mark token equals spool name is not defined. This is why we're doing this. Line 198. That's the end of that. Let's look for name. That's fine, that's the blob. I knew I was going to screw up something. Looks good to me. Alright, back at it. Let's try this again. There it is. Perfect. So again, if we have an image, we can't look it up. So we might want to look it up by spool. I mean, what we could do is we could possibly here in upload, not create. So again, you could try to create it with the URL, because you can pass in the URL, so you could look it up by URL essentially. But if you had an existing spool name, how do you get the details of that? So here what we could do is we could just call this, we could call it nickname. And then here we could say, try Nick's first. So we could look it up by Nick, and this here is the nickname. And then we could say, if not spool, well, now that's a problem, huh? Yeah, that's fine. Spool equals spool. Let's just copy this, so there's no errors. Well. And this is by name, and this is by name. So now let's go over and let's look at this image again. So we had it here, huh? And we're going to copy this, and we're going to pass it in like this. And so instead of fancy hissing pheasant, we allow them to paste in the spool name, and we should get back to the same thing. So now we can look it up by both. Now, I'm not going to allow them to upload it by both. That's too much. That's where I'm going to draw the line. Okay, so the docs will need to be uploaded, but this is not about updating the docs. It's about posting, so we're going to get right into posting. So now we can address this by the nickname, and what's coming back here is the spool name. So we want the nick here. So that's how we need to upload it to it. So this is the nick. That's the nick. This is the nick. High hopes of uploading in how many minutes? We got a countdown going on here. So we've got an hour. So I have, oh my God, 27 minutes. Okay. So we're doing 27 minutes. Somebody popped in. Hello, person. Are you in here now? Maybe they left. Oh, that was me earlier on my phone. So I'm just dreaming that someone's watching. It happens every once in a while. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to, what are we going to do? We need to post the image that's coming in from the screenshot image data URL. This is the image right here. So that's the image. So that's shared image data URL. I don't know why it's called data URL. Who knows? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to alert on, what is the function for length in JavaScript? Length? Dot length? JavaScript length property? Yeah, dot length. Well, that's a string. But, variable? Length? Lengthening? Lengthening? I guess that's a thing, huh? String length. I guess they're just strings. Any variable length possible with our variable lengths possible. It's just dot length. So we're going to do this. So we're going to do shared image data URL dot length. Like that. And then we're going to go in here. Let's get rid of this. We're going to go in here and we're going to reload. And then we're going to go, we'll just image this page. We'll image our own page. And then I'm going to reload this page. And then I'm going to, actually I'm going to do this. Well, I'm going to leave that up. It's kind of a long page. Takes a while. But that's okay. Slim Quantum Bulldog. And there's the link. So that's how big it is. It looks like it's 2 meg. A 2 meg page. Okay, sweet. I did notice there that, like, whenever it gets done imaging it, then the page is just, I don't know what's going on there. Oh, there it is. Okay, okay. And then we'll go away. Okay. Well, now we have the data. We need to upload it. So where are we going to get that from? So I'm going to go into upload.js because it does an upload in theory. And it does it through upfunc. And upfunc is coming in through this. It's the drop upload. Now, I'm going to take care of this. Copyright someone else, need to figure out who. I mentioned this the other day because we were talking about this screenshot thing. So I do need to figure out who this is. I'm going to search for this on Google. And to be honest with you, I mean, this was well before I even made anything public. I grabbed this and then I was like, I'm gonna have to rewrite this thing. And so I did have that copyright in there, but like I don't want to like claim that was, I mean, like it's not necessarily me. So I did write a fair amount of it though. I wrote some of it. Add event listener, handle drop, handle files. Let's see, does it look like that? Yeah, handle drop, handle files, validate image. So does this person upload file, add event listener? Who is this person? I don't remember this page. Is it God-fearing and loving family man, web developer, JavaScript blogger? Okay. And it says January 15th, 2008. And then how to make a drag and drop file opener. It's a file opener. Drag and drop events. You can see the final version in action on CodePen. Let's take a look at this. So it's got upload file, form data, new form data, post, XX. Let's go back and look at the one we've got. I'm just going to paste it down here. You can see it looks different. I don't know why. Ready state change. I think what I did is I don't remember this part in here on ready state change function. It says upload file. Do we have an upload file up here? Handle files, validate, preview, and upload image. I think I took like maybe another project and hashed it together. I don't remember. Anyway, it needs to be rewritten. It will get rewritten. I'm rewriting it right now in upload.js. So I actually was thinking I would put the entirety of it in here if I could. Probably can. It'll make this file a little bit long, but it'd be nice not to rely on this external file. You can tell this is not a lot of code. I mean, it's like 151 lines of code, so there's not a lot to it. Which is not to say that it's not valuable or that somebody else didn't write it. I'm not sure who wrote it. It may be that guy. I mean, obviously, I don't know. It's tough. I mean, if code's posted on the internet and it's there, I mean, or it's a common way to do it. So I don't claim to have written all this. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking about that now. So what we need to do, we don't need to do anything with this, in fact. We're just looking at this to see how we are uploading. Ajax send form data. That's it. Ajax open post upload URL true. Ajax upload on progress. Ajax send form data. Form data equals form data append image. Images image. Make the request. On ready state change. Image view click. Remove modal. So none of this stuff is important, I don't think. It's all this stuff. Even this on progress. That's just updating the image. It'll just kind of slide over in the preview. So we have this Ajax send. We have var Ajax equals new request. We have Ajax open post upload URL true. And we have form data. Where does the form data get involved? In here in the send. So we've got the else in here, and then what we need to do is on a successful post done, which is here, then what we need to do is we need to trigger all of this junk right here. Right here. So it says reader read as data URL, but it's already a data URL in our context, I believe. So we're going to copy this, and then I'm going to paste it in here, and hope for the best. Okay. So we're going to create the form data, and we're going to do form data append. I'm going to check and see if there's anything in here called form data. I don't think there is, but you never know. Nope. And then how about Ajax? Ajax. Okay, those are the only two. All right. So now you see we're taking somebody's code right now. That's what we're doing. This drop upload code, we're taking somebody's code from who knows where and putting it in here. Okay, so I mean, honestly, is this someone's code? It's code when you like chain it all together. So this becomes somebody's code at this point. You do something like this, I suppose, but it's still, you know, I mean, this is the way you do this. So I feel like code is like when you have like if then else's and you have like logic flow control, then that's something that's coming out of someone's mind. When you have something like, you know, like this is not something that's coming out of somebody's mind. necessarily. It's kind of a weird thing when you think about it. You definitely want to be respectful with other people's code, though. So create form data, and then we're going to do a new request, and we're going to post to the upload URL, and then the upload URL is here. We should make an upload URL. Equals, oh wait, we've already made it. Let me think about this. I think all of the upload URLs are, what are they? Yeah, I think if we look in here, where'd it go? Here. How much time do we have? Oh, 15 minutes. Here. We're gonna go to data store, entities, and we're gonna go into pool. And we see here that's Mitta. It's hard coded as Mitta. Although, so we could use it as Mitta. It's not going to work right now because we changed the upload URL. Oh, did we? Yeah, we did. We changed the upload URL to be the name of the nickname. Let's go verify that we did that. Could we? Maybe what we could do is support the upload as well. Upload images to this. Could we not just do the same thing here? We're just going full in. Okay. I give in. Yeah, I usually resist because it's too much work. I'm lazy. Not this time. Streaming makes you not lazy, I think. That'd be my observation. It makes you responsible. Even though no one's watching you, YouTube's watching. Now all this needs to be tested. I'll do it off stream. I don't have a lot of time here. What's this create spool? I don't have anything to do in there. All right. Okie doke. So what are we doing here? So we can do it by the nick or the name now. Either way. Okay, nick equals data response nick, alert, alert shared image data URL. Okay. This needs to be form data append images. And this is, and if we look and upload here when we're uploading images right here. So that's what we're looking for in there. We're looking for the image. Then we're going to say form data append images image, but it's not image, it's shared image data URL. We're going to take out the alerts. And do we need the nick? We don't. What we do? We do because we need to create the URL. So var upload URL equals, in this case, it's going to be http :localhost 8080/u/ plus nick, like that. I just can't believe it's that easy. So let's look at this. We've got nick, creating our upload URL, we're creating a new form data, we're appending the shared image data URL, which is being given to us so graciously by the screenshotter. And then we're going to make a request, which we call Ajax. We're going to open a post and post it to this URL, and we're going to send the form data. And then magic happens. So let's go look at our reference and to upload. And we're doing a post here. And it's just saying we could give it a tag if we wanted to, but in this case we're not. I guess we could tag it with something, but we'll leave that exercise for later. Okay, I'm a little nervous. I don't know why, I'm nervous. Okay, so let's reload this. And then let's fucking screenshot something. Let's make it happen right here. Live, we're gonna do it live. Okay, so are you ready? And it says local variable nick reference before assignment. Oh, that's awesome. I love errors like that. 268. Here. Oh, well, you know what? All of this needs to be renamed to nickname. So we're going to search for request URL, and you'll notice there that we got an error, which is unfortunate, but at least we handled it. It's request URL is what we're looking for here, and we're gonna see this out. Probably see this out. I think this is nickname. This is nickname. Schnick. Nickname. Schnick. That's what we could have called it, a schnick. Nickname. Okay, all that looks good. And what does it say here? It says, what was our error? It says in 268. I'm nervous. Okay, I'm going to look at 268. And if that's in an error handler, then it's in an error handler. And it says here that we didn't get anything. That the upload was not found. Use data, images, or file. So I'm doing request files here, but there's no, I'm not getting, post, and then send form data. And it says form data append images. And then here it's like request files. I don't know. I mean, that's how the uploader works. I mean, we're looking at the uploader code here. Drop upload. Oh no, we're not. Are we? Yeah. Here. Ajax new Ajax open post upload URL true. Form data append images. I know for a fact this works. Create form data append images. Read as data URL image. I don't know what that's all about. What is the reader? New file reader on load, image source equals target result, reader read as data URL. But then we're not doing any more readers. Bar reader on load, image source equals target result. Form data equals new form data append images image. Here it's this image share data images. Form data append. Okay, well let's try this again. Maybe it was just fussing at me because, I don't know. Let's reload this. And then we're going to go back here, and we're going to reload this, and then we're going to click on it again. It says, posting to fancy hissing. Oh, it wasn't found. 404. Oh, no, you know what? That's because it's popping out. I don't know if I can inspect this or not. Let's find out. It says blob, then nothing else is going on. So here. But it's because I'm returning this 404 right here. Am I? Yeah, I'm returning a 404. That was where the error was popping out. So I don't know. Upload not found. Use data, images, or file. Does the uploader work? I think it does. Let's try the uploader. If this doesn't work, then I'm going to have to fix the uploader because we don't have enough time. Oh, it wasn't in here? I don't think it was in here. I don't think the uploader works. It might. It doesn't work. I mean, it works, but I think the clicking is broken for some the clicking is broken for some reason. Okay, well let's look at this for just a few more minutes here. Okay, so and keeping in mind I may fail here, and then I'm just going to end the stream because we're done on time, I think. So we're doing a post. I mean, I guess what we could do is we could try to upload with Jquery, and I could give that a shot. I don't think it's that complicated. Upload new form data form. Good Lord, can you give us a simpler one? First you can do some validation. File on change. Now the Ajax Submit trick with the button click. I don't want a button click. Your server form, new form data. Why is this $ form? I guess that's the cache XHR. Well, this is an Ajax call. I'd like to do it with Jquery. Do it with Ajax. Well, I guess this is Ajax call. It still depends. I recommend using the fine uploader. JavaScript JS upload. This is how you do it right here. And I have that support in here for data right there because of that. Okay. I'm going to create a new file real quick, and I'm going to take this code. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it into here. And then I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to wipe out all of this crap here. And I'm going to put in this here. Paste. Then I'm going to indent this. And I don't really care about any of this. And this is actually just, wait a minute. You know, I didn't. Sometimes Sublime, you're so annoying. What just happened? Oh, I see. Never mind. I'm complaining for no reason. All right. Wait a minute. Yeah, I did delete it. It deleted this friggin' that thing right there in form data. So, okay, whatever. Is that a comma there at the end of that? Yeah, it is. Okay, so this is the, I hope this works. Shared image. I got so excited earlier. Shared data, and then process data equals content, done. I don't even really need this. I'm gonna delete this. So I'm doing a file destination. This is again, HTTP colon localhost 8080/u/ oh, that was the upload URL. Yeah, like that. Okay, let's try it again. So we gotta reload this. Let's remove it. Remove. Load unpacked. Mitta screenshot, select folder. We're gonna go to Hacker News. We're gonna reload the page, and we're gonna click on this, and we're gonna check that little pin right there, and then we're gonna click on that. And it says it did something. Let's look at this. It says why popular YouTubers are building their own sites. And then what? I don't know. Like, what should we do here? How can we get this back? I guess we're gonna do this. And did it add something? It didn't add anything. I don't see any new. See, it said here it said a post. It didn't do the post. We're extending this. The stream is now permanently extended. We're gonna extend the stream. So post. Yeah. And we get done. And then what? Why didn't? Oh, you know what? I bet this failed. So, okay, let's go back to this. It says this stuff right here. Let's copy that. And what we're gonna have to do here is, because it's in the extension context, I don't think we actually can't do a console log. I think it's DOM stuff. I don't know why alerts working. So that should be what's going on. Try to upload, please. I mean, I only saw the post to the like the spool stuff. So let's try this again. Errors. Type post. Screenshot anonymous function. What? What does that mean? Failed to construct form data parameter 1 is not of type HTML form element. Oh, really? Here. What does that mean? It says failed. You're passing a string to form data, as the error says, expects a form element, not a string. So, form data document element my awesome drop zone get element new form data get element my awesome drop zone. Well, all right, let's look in upload.js. Sorry, drop upload. So here image is where? Coming in from preview and upload image. Files, upload URL, preview and upload image, images, files, handle files equal fake input files, fake input equals blah blah blah. Well, that's not the case over here. In Screenshotter, it's image. Shared image dirty cut at shared tabs has function image. So recursive image merge self shared shared screenshot return shared. Image data URL. Well, we have two. We have image data URL and image data URL. I don't know. Is it shared image data URL? Which one is it? Oh. That could be the problem right there. So this would be tab? Shared tab image data URL? Is that what it says up here? No. Well, it's either image data URL or shared. That's it. New form data shared image data URL. What was the error? This is likely what was happening earlier, probably. Let's actually, I got kind of sidelined there by this. Let's validate that this is not working. So let's reset this and clear this error. And then we're gonna go over here and reload this page, and then we're gonna click on this again. We should get a pop-up. I thought that it would fail, but it's not doing anything. It's just gonna give me the same error again. Which is saying that the failed to construct form data parameter 1 is not, parameter 1 is not of type HTML form element. Image data URL. So in shared data URL. Well, I mean, it's not. I mean, it's, you know what it is? It's this thing. It's this thing. Isn't that it? I mean, or if I inspect it, that's not even it. I don't know what this is stored as. Stored as an image data URL. Let's see here. Image data URL. So it's saying image is new image. Canvas height equals image. Height. File image. Image dirty cut at. I mean, what? You can see here, there's image data URLs being referenced here. Load images source equals image data URLs I. Canvas to data URL callback. Get context, height, width, images length, images I source for I, and image data URL's length, images equals new image. Oh, so this is the length of the images. Okay. Recursive image merge. I'm wondering if, like, I don't think we're accessing the right thing here. This is not the image, I don't think. So, I mean, I don't know what the image would be here. I thought I had access to it, but I just figured because that one, the URL thing was the length of it, but I don't, was 2 meg. That's about what it was, I think. Let's look at it. So let's console. Let's alert shared. Yeah, shared image data URL dot length, like that. And then let's go reload this. I just had to go long, didn't I? Let's go back. We're gonna reload that, and then we're gonna reload this page. We're gonna get a length popping up, which is about 220 kilobytes. Let's save. Okay, that's good. Let's save image as, and I'll save that to the desktop. And then let's go look at it on the desktop. And properties. And it says, well, I don't know, 167. So I mean, that's approximately the same, but I don't know, it's exact. Okay, well, so I can't chew up any more time. That's just the way it is. It's we're at time for sure. We're at well, we're 11 minutes over. So I hate to cut it off there, but I don't. The problem here is that this is so I don't look at myself. The problem is here that this thing is probably not the image. And it looks like it's the image. I could alert on it, I guess, so we could see what it looks like. Let's try that. And then we'll give up. What do we want to image? This doesn't matter. Yes, yes. Well, there it is. So it says data image PNG base. So you can see it there. And if we look at that looks somewhat similar to this code here. Where is it? This thing here says image star fake input PNG base 64. I mean, I don't know. That looks like that's data. That's for sure the data. So, like, I guess we could query for, and that's big. Let's run it again and see what that error is again. So it says this. Yeah. And then what are we're trying to convert it to form data, right? So here's, really Chrome? Seriously? I've got 2 windows open. Give me a break. Okay. This, and then form data, convert. Wow. I don't know. This is not secure. That's cute. Upload a base 64 encoded image using form data. I would like to upload this JPEG, blah, blah, blah. Your image data is nothing more than a string, so append it to your form data object like this. Image data. Is that what it said? What did it say in there? I copied it. Data image PNG. Is it this? It has image data on the front of it? Where is this image data URL? You can see me like completely resisting trying to understand exactly what they're doing. I'm just like using Google for my crutch here. I don't think there's anything in here about that. I'm wrong. There is. Data to blob URL. Blob URL. Blob URL. find blob URL. What was that? File name. Oh, here it is. Download URL image. Was blob URL in here? There's no blob mention of blob URL in here. So what I would like, I have a JPEG, base 64 encoded string, form data, your data image, nothing more than a string, so append it to your form data object like this, image data. Data append image data. Convert data URI to file, then append to form data. Data URI to blob. Canvas to data URL. Form data, document forms. Append. Oh. Canvas image blob. FD append. Canvas image. From there, appending data to form such that it will be uploaded as a file is easy. Famous last words. Okay, we're going to try this. If it doesn't work, then we're going to wrap it, and then we're going to go pop in, and then by the time we pop out on the other side, you can just click to the next video, and then I'll have the answer. But here I'm struggling with this. So we're going to go in, and we're going to try to here. We're going to say, let me think about this, FD. Yeah, we're going to put FD there where data is. So we're going to say var FD equals new form data. And then we want document forms. I don't know what this does. Whatever, doesn't matter. I think that's just saying that that's an empty form. FD append. And then we want canvas image. And then we want a comma, and then we want the blob. And I don't know this is the blob. It's probably not the blob, but we'll try. And then we need the shared image data URL. That should be the blob, but you never know. And then we want FD in here, the form data, except it's just FD. Like that. Okay. Last hurrah for this stream. If you like the video, be sure and give it a thumbs up, and follow and like and subscribe and all that shizzle. I would appreciate it. Just getting started here. Episode 50 will hit our stride. Hopefully by the time we hit episode 100, we'll have maybe 100 followers. I don't know. It's not proceeding that way, but we'll see. All right, here we go. Here we go. Is it going to work? Okay, that worked. And we saw post, and we get that, and nothing. Oh wait, what's this? 404. So we got an error. We didn't get the data. All right, so I'm Cord Campbell. This is Coding Mitta, and I'll see you on the next episode, and we'll wrap the uploader. But yeah, we basically wrote this much code. And so the lesson is if you know, if you just are persistent about coding, if you just get on and Google stuff and start pasting and stuff. I mean, I know how to program. I mean, maybe, but if you don't know how to program and you just want to get in there and start fiddling around, you just have to start cutting and pasting things and see what works and what doesn't, and try to figure out where the errors pop out. And maybe like programming a plugin for a browser is an easy thing to do. There's a lot of code out there, so if you are interested in that as a career, then don't give up. Don't think that you can't do it, and don't think that you have to learn JavaScript completely. You don't have to pick up a JavaScript book to do any of this stuff. You can just literally just get an editor running, get saving working, get committing to GitHub working, open a browser, browse to a site. You saw there, I showed you how to load in extensions. You just click on load unpacked and you literally pick the file directory that you downloaded from GitHub by doing a git clone, and away you go, and you can start immediately doing JavaScript programming. And the debugging is a little less than ideal, but other than that, you know, it does pop out in here and gives you some errors and stuff. So anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for dropping by and watching this, and I will catch you in the next episode, episode 29. We're grinding our way to release. Take care. See you later. And